Okay, so my name is Megan Van Allen, and this is my speech for Communications 101. Okay, so my speech is on the importance of physical touch, just so you guys know, so you ready? We are taught right and wrong from an early age. For example, I was taught that hitting someone would almost always result in a consequence on my end. So if I was on the playground, if I was at home, if you hit someone, then you're in trouble. It's pretty much how it went in my house. Whereas if you were to say, give someone a high five really hard, then it would just be a high five. And it wouldn't really matter as anything. And that's kind of how I was taught the difference of physical touch in my culture, in my society. So physical touch is different for everyone. It depends on where you're raised, who you're raised by, and what kind of culture you're in. It kind of shapes everyone, and it has molded over the generations and changed into something that is entirely different, and that's why they're studying it right now. So in this presentation, we'll be talking about the importance of physical touch in different social situations, and physical touch in different cultures. Physical touch affects us at various ages, and it kind of starts when you're born. So there have been multiple studies. There was a publishing in Human Development 2002. That was a study by Tiffany Field, where they took premature babies, so babies that were born before term, which is 40 weeks, so babies under 35 weeks, and they held them for 5 to 10 minutes, three times a day. And what they saw was a difference in those babies and babies that were not held was that those babies actually gained 47% more weight in that time. So that kind of shows you that physical touch, even from an early age, can affect you and kind of gain weight and help people feel better about themselves. So hands-on research also did a study, and in 2010 they kind of found that touch therapy was a way that could help people with autism. So if the person was willing to receive the help in the touch therapy, then they were able to kind of touch them and help communicate with them via their hands if they weren't able to communicate in different ways, which was a very helpful study. And it also helps people with traumas or different disorders or emotional kind of welfare with people. Physical touch can also work in social situations, but it's also not for every social situation. So if you've ever been in a situation where someone was too close to you or kind of in your face talking to you about things that you didn't really want to talk to them about, then that's an example of social situation in different kind of areas. So the authors of our book, Essential Communication, also touched on these different areas, and their example was found on page 138, and they found that in a supermarket area, so they had different shoppers, and they had a person go up to the shoppers and kind of get in their personal space and get in their face and kind of talk to them when they obviously did not want to be talked to. And they found that those people were more likely to leave the store early and buy less. So that kind of shows you how physical touch is not often welcomed in social situations. Even if it's in a big place such as a supermarket, you don't want people to touch you, and you don't want to go touch other people if you feel that it could be found that they feel annoyed or even kind of scared if you're getting close to them, especially in this time of day. Physical touch also has various meanings in different cultures. So America, and kind of Western society, displays more of a minimal touch. By that, I mean that you wouldn't go up to someone and kiss them on the cheek or give them a hug if you didn't know them. So if I just met you, I wouldn't go up to you and kiss you on the forehead or something like that, like they might in other cultures. So that's kind of why it's a minimal touch. And they also found that you can also use physical touch in kind of a workplace environment to show superiority over someone. And by that they mean that your boss might come up to you and clap you on the back or say, hey, nice job, and give you a high five or a handshake, whereas you might not go up to your boss and do the same thing to him as you bend over his work, because that's kind of not the typical norm, and it's kind of a sign of authority with physical touch. In the Middle East and in Latin America and Southern Europe cultures, they are kind of the opposite of that. So they prefer when they meet someone, they go up to them and they say, hey, how are you, and give them a hug. Or in Greece, it's common that they clasp arms and they give each other a kiss on the cheek. Whereas in America, we don't do that. In Western societies, we don't usually do that. And then there are also cultures that are kind of on the other end of that, where like in Japanese cultures, they prefer to bow to people when they meet them. And that's how they differentiate their cultures. So physical touch is a form of communication that has a time and a place in all sorts of different societies, and it can vary drastically throughout the world. It is also something that has changed throughout time and will continue to change throughout time, and it will continue to grow with every generation. There are also undeniable benefits of physical touch, and they can be shown and proven through different studies and different tests. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to have to paint now. I'll hand it back to you. There's everyone living their life.